Welcome back to the fourth session of the chapter Dielectrics. So, in the last session, we have stopped up to Lorentz force. Next one is Clausius-Mosatti equation. So, this may be asked in the exam for a main question to deduce Clausius-Mosatti equation for a dielectric material. Now let us consider an elemental solid dielectric material having cubic structure. Since there are no ions and permanent dipoles, the ionic polarizability alpha I and orientation polarizability alpha naught are zero. That is, alpha I equals alpha naught equals 0. Let the dielectric constant of the material be epsilon r. Solids such as diamond, silicon, germanium, etc., even mica, are made up of single type of atoms. They do not contain molecules or do not contain positive and negative ions like sodium chloride or ammonium chloride, etc. The dipole moment of a single atom is proportional to the local field. That is, dipole moment mu is alpha E times EI. Look at this expression, alpha I mu is alpha E times EI, where alpha E is the polarizability of the atom. The value of total polarization P as an electric moment per unit volume of the dielectric is given by P is equal to N into mu. So substitute for mu now, N into alpha E into EI, that is equation 1, where N is the number of atoms per unit volume of the substance and EI is a local field. We know that electric displacement vector D is P plus epsilon naught into E. Therefore, P is D minus epsilon naught into E. So divide by E, P by E is equal to D by E minus epsilon naught. So which is equal to epsilon minus epsilon naught, which is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon r, that is epsilon minus E naught. Take out E naught as common factor, E naught into epsilon r minus 1. Therefore, P is equal to epsilon naught into ER minus 1 into E, where E is the applied electric field and E is equal to P divided by epsilon naught into epsilon r minus 1. So this already we have substituted this in the previous derivation. Next, internal electric field EI is given by E plus P by 3 epsilon naught. Substitute for E now. So P is equal to N alpha E into E plus P by 3 epsilon naught. I'm just substituting for EI. So from equations 2 and 3, so look at equation 2 and equation 3. From these two equations, if we equate RHS, we get N alpha E into E plus P by 3 epsilon naught. It is equal to epsilon naught E into epsilon r minus 1 within brackets. So on simplifying this, we get equation 4. Substituting the value of P from equation 2 in equation 4, we get, these are all substitution steps. Finally, we get epsilon r minus 1 divided by epsilon r plus 2 equals N alpha E divided by 3 alpha naught. Try to simplify these steps. So this equation 5, we call it as Clausius-Mosatti equation, which is valid for non-polar solids having cubic crystal structure. Mica, ceramic, for all these materials, we can use this equation Clausius-Mosatti equation. So in rotationalized form, the above equation can be written as epsilon r minus 1 divided by epsilon r plus 2 is equal to 4 pi by 3 n into alpha e. The magnitude of polarizability is epsilon r minus 1 divided by epsilon r plus 2. It is known as specific polarization of the dielectric. These are derivation parts. Please go through the derivation steps in detail, and those derivations may be asked in the main questions in this chapter. Next, let us discuss about space charge or interfacial polarization in brief. Look at the diagram. When the field is zero, the plus and minus ions, they are at random. Once the field is applied, as shown in the second figure, all negative charges will be on one side, positive charges will be on the other side. This is known as space charge or interfacial polarization. The induced dipole moment per unit volume is known as induced polarization or interfacial polarization. Space charge polarization is not an important factor in most of the dielectrics. Next, let us know about polar and non-polar dielectrics. Polar dielectrics means in dielectrics, molecules will have positive and negative charges. The centers of the negative and positive charges do not coincide when the field is zero or when the field is applied. In both the cases, negative charge, positive charge will be separated. Their centers do not coincide, and this is how we represent a polar dipole molecule. Mu E denotes dipole moment of the polar molecule. They have permanent dipole moment, mu E, that is dipole moment exists even when the field is zero. Some examples for polar type: water, NH3, HCl, CH3Cl, N2O, electrolytic solutions like ammonium chloride, sodium chloride, H2SO4, etc. So all these are polar type dielectrics. What are non-polar dielectrics? In a non-polar dielectrics, the molecules will have the center of positive charge coinciding with center of negative charge. Look at this figure. This is how we represent a non-polar molecule by a circle, and at the center both negative and positive charges are together. That means centers of negative charges, that is electrons, and positive charges, protons, coincides when the electric field is zero and separates when the electric field is applied. Look at the second figure. When the field is not zero, the negative charge will be moving on one side, positive charge will be on the other side, and therefore they exhibit dipole property only when the field is applied. When the field is zero, remember, dipole moment is zero. Therefore, they do not have permanent dipole moment. That is, mu E is zero when the electric field is zero. Example for non-polar type: hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, methane, CCl4, carbon monoxide, etc. Even glass, ceramic, mica, they are non-polar type. So this already we have discussed types of polarization: electronic or induced polarization, and second one ionic or atomic polarization, and third one orientational polarization, and fourth one space charge or interfacial polarization. We have already discussed this part, and last two things we have to discuss: dielectric breakdown. First, to understand what is dielectric breakdown. The phenomenon of losing the resistivity and allowing very large current to pass through the dielectric material is known as dielectric breakdown. That means when a large current flows through the dielectric material, it is known as dielectric breakdown. As you know, resistivity of dielectric is very high. At some moment when the resistivity is very low, the material allows large current to flow through it. That is called dielectric breakdown. The different types of dielectric breakdowns are: number one, intrinsic breakdown. This happens within the dielectric material, that's why intrinsic breakdown. And second one, thermal breakdown. This is due to thermal agitation. And third one, discharge breakdown. It is due to conduction of charges, the breakdown occurs. That's why it is called discharge breakdown. And fourth one, electrochemical breakdown. It is due to electric field which breaks the dielectric. That's why electrochemical breakdown. And defect breakdown. This is due to some sort of defect on the surface of the dielectric material. If the surface has some cracks or some imperfections, the breakdown may occur. That is called defect breakdown. So these are the 5 types. Let us discuss one by one. First one, A, intrinsic breakdown. The dielectric strength is defined as the breakdown voltage per unit thickness of the material. That is the definition for dielectric strength. Dielectric strength means it is a voltage per unit thickness of the material when the breakdown occurs. When large electric field is applied, some of the electrons in the valence band cross over the conduction band across large forbidden energy gap, giving rise to conduction current. You know that energy gap is very large in a dielectric material. When temperature is high, some of the electrons in the valence band cross the conduction band, giving rise to conduction current. These electrons, while flowing through the conduction band, produce large current. The large current causes the dielectric material to undergo a breakdown, and the breakdown is called Zener breakdown. I think in Zener diode studied about Zener breakdown. When a Zener diode is in reverse bias, operated in reverse bias at a particular voltage, the PN junction breaks. That is called Zener breakdown. Similarly here, even the dielectric material undergoes Zener breakdown at high voltage. Since the electric field is of the order of 10 power 8 volt per meter, that is high voltage, high electric field, the electrons are accelerated to very high velocity, colliding with the other atoms or molecules, thereby releasing more electrons and holes, breaking the covalent bonds between them. That means the accelerated electrons moving through the dielectric material collide with the atoms, break down large number of covalent bonds, they are broken, number of covalent bonds broken, and hence no charge carriers released number of hence number of charge carriers released increases enormously with time, and finally the dielectric breakdown occurs for a certain voltage. This is known as avalanche breakdown or intrinsic breakdown. So I will tell you about this. The electrons which are accelerated due to high voltage, they collide with the atoms, breaks up the covalent bonds between the atoms, and sets in large number of electric charges, both electrons and holes. As a result, high current will be produced. Such a breakdown we call it as avalanche breakdown or intrinsic breakdown, which happens even in ordinary diode. Characteristics of intrinsic breakdown. Number one, they occur at very low temperature, not at high temperature, occur at low temperature. It requires relatively large electric field. Electric field is high, but temperature is low. It occurs mostly in thin samples. It does not depend on electrode configuration or shape of the material. And second one, thermal breakdown. Thermal breakdown occurs in a dielectric when the rate of heat generation is greater than the rate of dissipation of energy. So thermal means heat. So due to the heat generated, the breakdown occurs. And this occurs when the rate of heat generation is greater than the rate of dissipation of energy. Energy due to the dielectric loss appears as heat. When the rate of generation of heat is large, the temperature of the dielectric increases, which eventually results in local melting. Once the melting starts, the material becomes highly conductive. Enormous charges flow through it, and the dielectric breakdown occurs. The characteristics of thermal breakdown are they occur at high temperature. The strength of electric field required for breakdown depends on the size and shape of the material, and breakdown time is of the order of few milliseconds. And third one, discharge breakdown. Discharge breakdown is classified as external or internal. The external breakdown is generally caused by a flow of corona discharge. Such discharges are normally observed at sharp edges of the electrodes. It causes deterioration of the adjacent solid dielectric material. It is usually accompanied by the formation of carbon so that the damaged areas becomes conducting, leading to power arc and complete failure of the dielectric. Dust and moisture on the surface of the dielectric may also cause external discharge breakdown. Internal breakdown occurs when the material contains occluded gas bubbles. Such gases require smaller ionization potential than solids. The gaseous atoms ionize first, and the gaseous ions bombard the solid dielectric, causing electrical deterioration. This can occur even at low voltage. So internal breakdown is due to the gas bubbles deposited on the surface of the dielectric material. Under low voltage, they undergo ionization, they collide with the dielectrics and produces what is called internal breakdown.